All right, we're on page 327.
They give you a slap on the back. Good job.
No, they don't.
No, they didn't do that.
Be at work on Tuesday.
We are on the tail end of the piece of the Rambam, the widow Rambam, who writes that the prophets used to take gifts of tzedakah as part of a relationship of they're aware that someone gives them, and that's a Kadosh Baruch Hu who's really giving them. Also, it required a certain lack of gava to be able to take a handout from somebody else. They were always aware that this was the Kadosh Baruch Hu's way to give them, and it was their way to give to the person who was giving them. Either by praying for them, or by teaching them, or by prophesying for them. Rabbi Yonatan goes through a number of sources in which he tells us that you see different characters in the Tanakh that are going to bring money to the prophets, or gifts to the prophets, or food to the prophets, and precisely for this reason. And then Rabbi Yonatan is going to continue like this. But you should know the prophets only accepted a little bit, and they would give back the greater part. And they would only take from somebody who was worthy, and who could be influenced by them if they would accept the gift. והיה לדבר שקיבל אלישע 20 לחם שרועים והחזיר 10 כרי כסף ו6,000 זהב לנעמן ומסר 40 גמל מנחה לבן הדד. You find that Elisha accepted from the man of Baal Shlisha the 20 loaves of barley bread. He returned to the general Naaman the 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold, and to the king of Aram Ben Hadad his gift, which was a load of 40 camels. So you say that it's cold, it's almost got You see that Naaman wanted to pay Elisha for giving him his advice, and still he's not taking everything. He's giving back some.
He took something? I didn't take anything. Food.
Well, Elisha doesn't take really much. Elisha is special for not taking things, right?
Right.
Elisha?
But I thought his servant took all, like, he went and tried to get some, and then he...
Like Abraham Avinu, he did.
Right, well, Abraham Avinu, right, in that situation. So he returns the things. But you'll find this also a very similar idea of oftentimes someone gives something, and you end up using that back on them. Somebody paid me to do a wedding, but I had expenses to incur to do that wedding that I paid for. So, no, that didn't mean anything ill. They gave me, but really much of that went back to just reimburse whatever it was that I did. And therefore, this is an idea. You don't even take all of it. Rather, he's trying to offset whatever expenses he believes, or whatever he believes the value of the service that Elisha did for him. This idea of taking only from a good person is a very hard thing. It's a very difficult thing. You used to find many chachamim that were adamant not to take money from people who were made money on Shabbat and such things. He's going to bring a proof to this. ולכן ציווה ירבעם לאשתו להתחפש בלכתה אל אחיה השילוני. This is why Yeravam, the king of the 10 tribes, instructed his wife to dress up, to hide her identity. When she goes to Kehillat השילוני, בדעתו כי לא ידע הנביא שאשתו לא היה עולה על הדעת שיקבל. כי לו ידע הנביא שהוא אשתו לא היה עולה על הדעת שיקבל ממנו מאום או יקרבנה. He was certain that if the prophet would know who he was, or who she was, that he would never take from her, and he would never be friendly towards her. Because he was particular only to take from people who it was fitting. ולא יצדק המקבל מתנות מן הפרוצים ודומיהם. Those who accept gifts from immoral people are wrong. שהוא נצרך להם ושאין הוא אוכל אלא מאותות השם, הבא את דבר וקנה אותו. They assume that they are needy enough to take from. So what can I do? That's what I need. That's where I get my parnassah from. The answer is no. If you really remember, the whole point of taking is you believe in Hashem that's giving. Yeah. If you believe in Hashem that's giving, believe that Hashem can also give you in the right way, not to give you in the wrong way. There are many, many, many organizations around the world that support different Jewish causes. And they are not good people. They don't come from a good place. They don't come from a good source. First, be very careful. Now, every question like this, you ask people, say, there's what to weigh here and what not to weigh. Who said, and I'm not saying that it's prohibited, but who said we're allowed to accept so much money? Or any money at all? I don't think anything. From evangelical Christians? I know the average American Jew, especially the Orthodox one, is of this illusion that they are their friends. Orthodox Jews in this country have a sick obsession with Christianity and the people who are right-wing in that department, without realizing that it's like any other Esav that had an agenda. There's nothing special about this Esav than another Esav. They want us to know that, to know that there's a reason. Nobody loves you just for nothing. It doesn't happen that way. It could be they're using you even just for their own good, but then realize you're being used. There are all kinds of people that hate Israel, and they therefore fund all kinds of things that are good Jewish causes that are challenging or critiquing certain things in Israel, but their funding is coming from a place of undermining Israel in its totality. One has to think about that also. What does it look like when a yeshiva has heavily reliance on people who don't believe in Hashem? So it's to think about these things, about where you get your financial aid from. It would be better to stay small time, but do things right, than to go big and who knows who you're mixing in with. I have this fear, and it's not necessarily a good fear, but it's a fear. I have this problem now with some of my colleagues who I'm working with. I have a hard time with affiliations. And not because I'm a snob. I really don't mind. I like good people. I like working with good people. When you affiliate with big groups, you have no way of knowing who you are affiliating with. Who are you associating with?
Was it Mark Twain said, I would not join any group that would have me as a member?
Yeah.
But this is
I've got some marks in it too.
There are big rabbinic organizations. There was I'll tell you, what year is this now? In 2013, I got an offer from a big, you might already guess, a big Orthodox news channel, TV channel in Israel. So I started giving once a week classes on TV. They had a studio in LA. I could drive to LA once a week and reimburse me for that. And they don't necessarily pay for these lectures, but you get your name on Israeli TV, and it's pretty impressive. And it was a big pitui. It was a big struggle inside of me. Do I do it? Do I not? This was an Orthodox group, one that many of you listen to and are affiliated with, or have donated to in the past. And I couldn't bring myself to do it because of other rabbis who are affiliated with this organization. That I couldn't do it, And I remember consulting with some of my parents, for example. Just do it. Who cares? There are all kinds of people in the world. Anyways, if they're affiliated with people, it's good for your record, for your resume, for your image. Just get it out. And what do you care who you're affiliated with? You can always stop your affiliation. And I was adamant not to. And there are still people who say, you missed an opportunity. I don't feel like I missed an opportunity. In the last few years, these groups have gotten themselves into some really murky things, really ugly things. And imagine if my name was on that. I would be responsible now for someone else's garbage. That it's hard to be responsible for your own problems. They have to be responsible for somebody else's problems. I didn't have anything to do with that. But your name would be on there. Now, clearly, there are some people who don't care. There are some people that nothing sticks to them, no matter what they do. I know how they got it. They're like Teflon people. Whatever they do, they always say they're sorry and they keep moving forward. It doesn't make a difference what they do. I wasn't made out of Teflon, and I have a hard enough time with the things that I have to have in my back, let alone the things that you don't.
Just think, if you were living in Israel and you became famous this way, people would throw garbage bags on your front porch.
Baruch Hashem.
Like Rav.
Yeah, but this is something to think about. So people say, "So you want to remain in small time?" I don't know what small time means. I know what integrity is and what lacking integrity is. I didn't have yet this nisayon of being offered huge sums of money and turning them down. That never happened to me yet. But it's something to think about. Oftentimes we think, "Okay, this is my highway to success," but it's really not. It's really not, because you'll have to sell. Forgive me for borrowing a term. You'll have to sell your soul to the devil in order to get there. And is it really worth it? Who promises you that when you get there, you're going to be able to unaffiliate yourself? There were many, many, many rabbis in this country who tried so hard to bring Jews closer to Hashem. And they were willing to compromise on things right and left. and they ended up compromising on themselves. And I'll tell you, I don't know who did more outreach on who, the people that they went to or the people that they were, maybe they brought them closer to them, but the rabbis were clearly not successful in their mission. And this is a hard thing. It's a hard thing to weigh out. I have to do something. The means don't always justify the end. In fact, in halakha, more often than not, the means don't justify the end. Somebody has to think about that. Yeah, I'm going to take this money from this evil person. It's going to support Torah study. Why does your Torah study have to be contaminated with somebody else's evil money? It's a hard thing because these are nisyonot that I don't even know if I would stand upright in them if they would happen. Like, these are hard things. They're not easy things. I'm not judging anybody who is caught up in these. It's just something that the Nevi'im are trying to tell us, which is you would only take from somebody who not only was good where it comes from, but that your taking would have a positive effect on them. Sometimes there are people that you take from, but that's not a healthy relationship when you take from them. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I don't talk much about Thanksgiving. I can't imagine that people in the 21st century still celebrate such a primitive holiday. But okay, they do. What can I tell you? Just like racism still exists in this country. Thanksgiving also exists in this country. Nobody asked me.
In Mexico, a lot of people don't.
Good. Oh, Hashem. Whenever someone wishes happy Thanksgiving and I have a chance, I tell them, as a person whose country was occupied by many years, I don't enjoy that blessing that you passed on to me. They have no idea what's wrong with me.
I had a friend that somebody who was like from a Navajo tribe, and they said, "Happy Thanksgiving." He said, "Oh yeah, thank you. My ancestors got slaughtered around that time. Thanks, I appreciate it." It's like
It reminds me of that.
This
It's true.
so Thanksgiving comes around. What was I telling you about Thanksgiving? Well, yeah, there are people who invite you, and they invite you. You're gonna go to their house. Not always is accepting that invitation. That little piece of turkey that you ate at somebody's house. It's glad kosher. But what now these people feel like you owe them because they took you in like a stray dog off the street. It's even when you take food from somebody, even when you get hosted by somebody, you sleep in their house. Go somewhere, stay in a hotel. Why? But there's somebody but you don't know what you're gonna owe them afterwards. You never want to owe somebody. There are some people that don't wave it over your head, so you can trust those people. But you have to be smart, says the Navi. You can't just think that everybody who's giving you is giving you because they're good people. Some people are trying to buy you, they're trying to cozy up to you. There's a certain grooming. There's a grooming that goes into people who try to do good things to you. The Rambam tells us that there are many friends in the world that are not actually friends. They all have ulterior motives. And they're slowly bringing you over to whatever it is that they need from you. There's a person who calls you every once in a while. You're like, why does this person keep calling me? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 6 months later, I had to ask you something. I'm so... Now I know why they've been calling me for 6 months. That's not a real friend. You have to be careful.
Strings attached.
Almost everything in the world has strings attached. So you just have to make sure the people that the strings are attached to are the kind of people you don't mind if they're going to have strings attached to you. That's the question you have to ask. The Rambam takes this in a little bit of a different spin than his son. And he tries to weigh out the difference between taking tzedakah from people, which could be considered inappropriate for a Talmid Chacham, to receiving assistance from people. In order to live, in order to eat, in order to sleep, which may be appropriate. And they do a good job here in the footnote on page 327. So I want to read this for us in English. It's footnote 17.
Sure.
Oh.
Here is one way to understand these conditions. The Rambam, commentary on Avot 4:6, writes that the right for a Torah scholar who is capable of supporting himself to benefit from others, found in Brachot 10b, is limited to being a guest at one's home and receiving the host's food and such. Likewise, while in Sefer HaMitzvot, Positive Commandments, number 6, he writes that benefiting a Torah scholar with one's money is one way of fulfilling the mitzvah of cleaving to God, in Hilchot De'ot 6:2. He limits that to providing food for the scholar so that they will eat together and other similar benefits, as interpreted by Mesheret Moshe, found in...
I would probably just do it till the end of the parentheses. And then on page 326, it goes back.
Found in, Azrot HaKamei Aram Sova on Hilchot Talmud Torah 3:10. Okay. Here we go. Keep going.
Yeah, notice this comes. What's Otzrot Chachamei Aram Tzova? The treasures of the sages of Aram Tzova. Where's Aram Tzova?
Syria.
Syria, very good. It's Aleppo. In Aleppo, the arrangement was with Talmidei Chachamim and families that they would live with these families, and the families would support these Torah scholars so that their home would constantly be infused. Every night you have dinner with the chief rabbi. Every Friday morning you bake bread with the chief rabbi's rabbanit. It infuses your home with a certain level of mitzvot.
And you said that they would like help them with their kids, like for their bar mitzvahs. And
Correct, exactly. And so this was a mutual relationship, and that's why this is interpreted by Mishael Moshe, who's quoted in the Otzrot Chachamei Aram Tzova, which makes sense because that was the arrangement that they had in Aram Tzova.
And he's saying that's okay.
Yeah, to that effect, it's okay. It's not actually money; it's a relationship of assistance,
Right.
of living off of somebody else. This helps. Chavon, you can keep reading.
This helps even the giver, since he benefits from the relationship. If so, a scholar or a prophet may not receive ordinary charity, as stated in Hilchot Talmud Torah 3:10, because he does not thereby bestow clear, direct benefit upon the giver. But he may receive a gift if he can benefit the giver in return, such as by influencing and improving him, which is in the context in Hilchot Deot and Sefer HaMitzvot.
Let's pause right there. Let's look up this Rambam Talmud. Everyone have Sefaria on your phone? I've mentioned it a few times. If you have, open it up with me. If you don't have, you can listen along. If you like, you don't have to download it. You can just go to sefaria.org or .com. I don't know what it's called. Who here has Sefaria? It's okay if you don't. Don't be embarrassed. Okay, so you're going to go to where it says Halakha on the front page. Click Halakha. You're going to go to Mishneh Torah. That's on the top left. And in the second area, Sefer Madad says Torah Study.
Mm-hmm.
Click on Torah Study. You go to chapter 3, Halakha 10.
How do you see the?
Where are we going now?
On
Halacha?
the side over here. It
Yeah,
says,
it's just
right, if you go to 10, you want to read it first, Angel?
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
Talmud Torah?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to
Chapter 10?
Chapter 3, Halakha 10. And
So,
the halachot are like in tiny gray letters on the right side.
Chapter 3.
oh, there we go.
Yeah, and when you scroll down, it says on the side there, it'll say like 1, 2.
1, 2, 3. Oh,
See,
okay.
so go to 10.
It's faint.
There's English here also.
All right, so
Are you using the Hebrew version of Sefaria? Are all your titles in Hebrew?
No, it's in English.
So you should have in 310. You should have not everything is in English, but this one.
Kol Hamisim.
Yeah. The angel.
So, nevertheless, whosoever sets his heart to pursue the study of the Torah, but do no secular work at all, and permits himself to be supported by charity, behold him, he blasphemed the name, degraded the Torah, and shadowed the light of religion, and caused evil to be brought upon himself, and deprived his own life from its share in the world to come, because it is forbidden to enjoy aught in this world in return of study of the words of Torah. The sages said, whosoever enjoys aught in return
Oh,
of
this
the
English over here. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm just-
of the study of the words of the Torah takes his own life away from the world. In Pirkei Avot 4:7, they have moreover commanded this and said, thou shalt not make them a garland by which to be considered great, nor a spade to dig with them.
You can't use the Torah as like a shovel to dig with.
Okay. Again, they have commanded and said, love manual labor and hate rank. Whosoever studies the Torah and does not acquire at the same time a manual trade, his knowledge of the Torah will be nullified and bring about sin. The end of this will be that he will rob people of his living. The text is clear enough to
No,
absolve.
that's already not the Rambam.
Okay.
I don't know who wrote this actually. That footnote is not accurate.
Okay.
So he says, blasphemed the name, degraded the Torah, shadowed the light of the religion, caused evil to be brought upon
pretty
himself,
intense.
loses his portion of the world to come.
This is the Rambam?
Rambam.
It's pretty tough.
Well, he was an opponent of the yeshivot where the rabbis didn't make a living in.
Well, they didn't have such a
Pumbedita.
yeshiva in his lifetime.
What about Pumbedita?
Okay, but I don't know that the war was only surrounding this issue, because this is like the modern like kollel system, which is not the Rambam's problem. Let me say that many rabbis have written in response about this Rambam and what they do, and even we touched on this a little bit here in this class.
I think, yeah.
Remember we did?
Your Saturday classes, or it was.
Yes, my Saturday class,
look
and
for the
also in
page
this
reading
class. It's a hard thing, but essentially the Rambam is saying that the only time where you could take is when there's a clearly recognizable mutual relationship between the community and the person who they're paying. Which means even if you are benefiting them some way, but it's not obvious that that's a benefit. So we're not saying that people who study Torah are valueless, but there's no overt way for me to judge how much Torah you're studying, how much that affects the community. Well, if you teach on the community, that's a different story. If you slaughter for the community, it's a different story. If you lead the community as a posek, as a dayan, that's a different story.
So, what kind of people are you talking about? Just people that just study and don't do anything?
Correct. And they assume we'll live off into the God. There are people like this in the world.
What is the purpose of that kind of study?
That's a hard question because I'm on camera. But
Which
if you would ask me, it's a selfish Torah study. But if you would ask them, somebody has to hold up the fort. The world of Torah is our whole reason for creation.
I've gotten that answer before.
Yeah.
Correct.
But if you keep all the Torah that you study just within the four walls of your own house, your own
But there's
self,
this
then-
metaphysical effect I'm having on the world that's changing.
It's because studying Torah is like the biggest mitzvah, correct?
Clearly, they know something the Rambam didn't know. That's all. And someone who thinks they know something the Rambam didn't know, don't waste your time having a conversation with them. It's a litmus test for you. Every time somebody tells you that they don't care what the Rambam says, you just walk away from that conversation. It's not working.
Definitely.
It's a person whose their brain tells you that it's not working. It's like, out of order. That's the same thing.
Isn't there a natural tendency to want to share what you learn? Isn't it?
Correct. These people don't mean, most of them don't mean in an ill way. They're not trying to,
They just
Yeah.
absorb
Take and
the
take and
learning
take.
some if they never.
they
Right.
don't view, for them the Torah is a theoretical thing. It's not a practical thing. The pursuit of Torah is theoretical. It's stimulating it mentally. It's not a life-transforming teaching. It's the same communities that you'll find. That one can study so much Torah and still not be the best person. It's not because they mean to do that. They simply, their view on the Torah is not life-transforming.
It's almost heretical to say that.
I
To
know.
be like that.
That's why we're not from that camp. In World War One, there were professors in Berlin that grew up in yeshivot, and they would go have lunch with their ham sandwiches and no kippot and nothing else, and they would study Gemara together. Because that mental stimulation, when they missed it, they missed that study. It had zero effect on their life.
I mean, it's
Well,
very
the secular scholars like in Yerushalayim that go very deep into every detail of the Talmud and know it sections by heart and can reach any volume and open it up, but they don't observe at all.
Yeah, this is the problem we've had since our giving of the Torah. We've always had people like that.
Yeah.
We're just not used to blaming that on people who look very religious. Dan, you're doing a terrific job reading. Do you mind finishing the paragraph, right?
Yeah.
Thus the Talmud and Ketubot.
Yeah, thus the Talmud in Ketubot 105b commends one who brings a gift to a Torah scholar, comparing the gift to the Bikurim, first fruits, that were presented to the Kohanim in the temple. And it proves this from the incident with Elisha that Rabbi Avraham refers to there. The gift of Bikurim benefits not only the recipient, but also the giver, as is evidenced in Moreh HaNevuchim 339. See also Maharal, Netivot Olam, Netiv HaTorah, chapter 11. It follows that the giver must be the kind of person who seeks this kind of benefit and does not merely give charity because of the scholar's poverty or even his Torah knowledge. The scholar then will not benefit, actually, from his Torah, which the Rambam forbids, but from his refined character and behavior, from which the giver will learn as they forge a friendship. Rabbi Avraham's comment above about bringing to the giver's pleasure, goodness, and blessing seems to be referring something else. The recipient is personally happy to accept the gift because he knows that he's helping the giver in many ways. However, here he adds that since those benefits are not apparent, he would not be allowed to accept it unless he is also helping him in a more evident way. His comment that they accepted gifts as a pauper accepts support does not mean that it was ordinary charity, but rather that they were as dependent as paupers. The second condition is that the amount should be limited to that which will be perceived as commensurate with the benefit received, not more, so that it will be clear that the scholar is not receiving charity merely because of his Torah. If these conditions are not met, he should not assume that it is a gift from God, and he should reject it.
That's
Pretty clear.
this is pretty. I mean, this is the Rambam's approach to the Lechamim in general. Now, there are different spins and different ways to analyze the Rambam. Of course, I'm not here to say it's the only way to look at it, but it makes sense, and this is why I constantly tell people, what are Chachamim? Whenever we talk about giving tzedakah to Torah scholars, and it's a good thing and a positive thing, and when we talk about how it's not good for a person to live off of tzedakah and so on and so forth, we're talking about people who are not doing anything. What is the word he uses? Evident to help the community. Those who are doing things that are evident, they're helping the community in obvious ways. That these restrictions would not apply the same way they would apply to somebody who's just living off of tzedakah. And that's where we get our permission to pay rabbis and teachers and Torah scholars and Rosh Yeshivot and Dayanim and Mohalim and because they're offering a service like anybody else offers a service. The Torah, you can't take money for your Torah. That's why you can't get paid to study Torah. But for the service they're providing, I don't have to do your wedding. I don't have to teach your kids Torah. I mean, the teacher at the school. Why does he have to babysit your kids? 8 hours a day. That's not his job. To study Torah, yeah, to teach somebody Torah, but your children, all the, between the giving out snacks and singing songs to them, walking them to the bathroom, that's not part of his job as a Talmid Chacham. And therefore, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the Zegot Moshe, calls this Schar Batala. It's his payment for not doing the things that he normally would do when he's studying Torah, and for doing things like babysitting your child. That's what he gets paid for, not for his Torah learning. Because it would be inappropriate to pay somebody just for their Torah study.